Hello, folks. Thank you so much for watching RTA in Japan here through English Speedrun Restream. I'm Hockey Babbler. I'm going to be your host here for the next little bit, and I am about to be joined by the amazing Queuety, who will be commentating this run of Inscryption coming up. It's a race between 4 different players of Kaycee's mod, all challenges. It should be a lot of fun. That'll be coming up as soon as they get set up here. But I'm wanting to bring in Queuety here to sort of introduce the run and talk a little bit about Inscryption and what this race should entail. Hi there, Queuety.
Hi there. How you doing? I just caught the you've been doing soccer for a long time.
Hey, you know what? I now should be Soccer Babbler instead of Hockey Babbler, I guess.
It's converted you then.
Well, you know, what is soccer if not hockey, but without the ice and the knife shoes and the big sticks?
I mean, essentially, yeah, same rule sets more or less. Just get a ball in a goal, pass it back and forth. Like, they found the right person.
So tell us a little bit about this game coming up and what is this category? Because I know nothing about Inscryption.
All right, this is going to be super exciting. I wasn't aware until recently it's a 4-way race, which will make it really, really fun and chaotic. So Inscryption is a roguelike deck builder. You can think of Slay the Spire or any of those types of games. Now, if you play, the single player is very different than what we'll see here today. The single player is a story mode. It mixes deck building and light horror elements. There's some fourth wall breaking. There's some stuff that happens outside of the game, like it messes with your head a little bit. It's really fun. One of the most memorable games that I've played in the last few years. So if you haven't played it yet, definitely play that. I won't give you any spoilers because what we're seeing today is Kaycee's mod. Now, Kaycee's mod is what you unlock after you fully beat the game. And so it gives you a set of modifiers that you can choose how many you enable. For this, we're going to enable all of them because of course we are. And for this, it's essentially an ascension mode, or it's like playing Balatro. So in Balatro, for example, if you have stakes, and I'm referencing that because a lot of people have played it recently, you go up a level in difficulty every time you beat the game or the mode. And you can do that in Kaycee's mod as well, and you unlock stuff over time. But we're going to enable everything. And I have the full list of all the stuff that it enables. But until we see the game and learn a little bit about how the game works, it might not make a lot of sense as to what it's doing to the players. Now, this mode is incredibly, I cannot stress enough, incredibly difficult to master. It basically makes the game extremely unfair. And I did a little digging on the achievement boards, and less than 1% of people who play Inscryption have beaten Kaycee's mod or have gone that far. While I have not done the speedrun version of this, I have finished the All Challenges Kaycee's mod, which that was a little while ago, but it should still be fun and to talk about. The other benefit here is I do not speak Japanese, but the cards all have pictures and symbols on them. So it should be very obvious for everyone in the audience once you know what the symbol means, because that part's not obvious. But once you know how the symbols work and things, it'll be very easy to kind of figure out what each card is. I mean, I can, I guess, kind of set the table for what the game is. So essentially, it's a battle card game battle deck. So you're playing against someone that's called Leshy. Leshy is this kind of monster that's on the other side of the table. And rather than having 2 separate health bars, you kind of share a health bar. So you can do 5 damage in either direction to end a fight. Now, in our case, one of the modifiers for Kaycee mod is you start with 1 damage on your side. So we actually have to do 6 damage to finish the fight. So if we do 3 damage and then they do 3 damage, the thing will move back and forth like a tug of war. So the ultimate goal here and what they're all going to set up for is, I believe all 4 of them are doing the same route. It's called the Mantis God route. There's a deck where you get a card called the Mantis God, and you basically do everything you can to build that card up so that you can do 6 damage or more on every single turn. So whatever boss you come up against, whatever happens during the run, and believe me, it will be extremely unfair if you try to do this straight up. Whatever happens during the play, you want to be able to do 6 damage on your first turn. The player always goes first. So that's kind of what they'll be going for. And it'll be a little bit easier once we have the game on the screen to kind of explain some of the other mechanics. But essentially, we're going to be building towards that one super powerful card. And the other element of this is the game has what they call a fair hand algorithm. And so to ensure that the player can always make a move on the first 2 turns, you will always draw what's known as a sacrificial card, a 0 blood, or 1 blood card. I'll explain blood later. Blood is the currency for the game. I apologize. That's just how it works. Blood and bones are what you use. So what they will end up trying to do is eliminate all of their low value cards and collect high value cards to the point that Mantis God card, which costs 1 blood, will be automatically drawn into their hand every single turn. And that way they can guarantee they'll get their strongest card, and they can guarantee that they will finish the fight in 1 turn. Now, to set all of this up is very, very reset heavy. That's the number one reason I never ended up speedrunning this, is because you do have to reset quite a bit to get just the perfect setup. So I expect all 4 runners to be doing that. We might be here for a few minutes as they slowly try to build out that perfect RNG. But after you get that, after the first what we would call an act, the first section of the game, you hit a critical mass, and you can kind of leisurely go through. Okay, Leshy is not a monster; he's a druid, hardly menacing or night. Okay, I'm sorry, Chad. When you play the game casually and you're in Act 1, and the currency is blood and the health is teeth, and there's different things. I mean, we might have different ideas of monsters at the beginning, but yes, yeah. As you go through the story, there are other aspects to Leshy.
You know, who doesn't ask for a little bit of blood and teeth every now and then? You know, it's a totally normal currency. Nothing weird about it. Don't make it weird.
So there is a whole meta story for anybody who's into those games that like extend beyond the game. I think they're called like ARGs or something like that. So for example, you unlock stories that are played by actors in the real world. And this is a game within a game. So it was a game that was developed in a game studio, but it became alive. And so like they're trying to escape the game and come into the real world. And I don't remember the plot super well, but it is very involved. And they did a thing where they actually went out to the woods and they buried stuff, and the developer came out with the first people to figure out the clues to the mystery. Like, it was a whole thing on Discord for a number of years. So if you're into that stuff, look into the background of this game. The single player is amazing. It's basically found footage creepypasta. Yes, chat. That is essentially true. We're not going to see, again, any of that today. We are playing the hardcore roguelike mod. It's called a mod. It is in the base game. It is not. They did not download anything special or anything like that. There is no actual modding. The story there is Kaycee is a developer who wanted to build a quote-unquote fair game, and so she installed mods that let people manipulate how the game is played. We don't have to go too in-depth on that. But if you haven't figured it out, chat, as we go, if we have any questions, the mechanics and stuff for the game are a little bit complicated. Feel free to throw those into chat. I'll do my best to answer those whenever we get going. In the meantime, I am enjoying this amazing transition screen. I love it's mesmerizing to watch this.
And quite frankly, I want to play this tower defense game. And I really hope that at some point in the future, RTA in Japan puts out a whole RTH on tower defense game. That would be super cute.
I saw pictures somewhere that someone had made an actual, I think it was maybe felt or something of this board, and it just looked incredible.
So cute. Yeah, it was all felt, it looked like, and very, very cute. I believe that is on the either on the Twitter account or the Blue Sky account of RTA in Japan. So definitely check that out.
And if you do check out, I don't know the exact link, but the RTA kind of shop or store, there are keychains and different things out of some of these characters. I've been super interested in digging around into those. Like this,
the adorable Aru-chan.
I was going to say marshmallow, but
The marshmallow-looking R. That's Aru-chan, and then the pigtail girl is RTA-chan.
I see. Okay. Yeah. And then slime is probably Dragon Quest, maybe.
I mean, or
legally distinct.
Legally distinct from Dragon Quest. We could call it Worm Mission. Because it's like a Dragon Quest, but no. Okay. Worm Mission.
I'm here for that. I keep expecting, I've seen too much Plants vs. Zombies. I keep expecting the flower on the bottom there to do something. Yeah, some sunlight or shoot a fireball if we're talking Mario. I don't know what's going on, but like I'm here for it.
Yeah, that flower just looks vaguely concerned in the corner. But it looks like our run is beginning.
Okay, that is okay.
That is amazing.
Yes. So this is the board. If you're familiar with Slay the Spire or other roguelikes, you're familiar with this kind of board structure. You have multiple directions that you can go. All these icons represent different events in the game. So every run is going to start the same. You're going to pick a starter deck. They will all, I believe, be using the Mantis starter deck because that's the easiest and most powerful to manipulate. That's how I ended up beating this. And then after that, you go to the trader and you trade what are called pelts. Pelts are the skin of dead animals because Leshy is involved in that stuff. And so you trade it and you can buy cards. The crowd is excited. I love it. There's a pirate hat. I'm here for it. I don't know what's going on there.
Just to introduce your runners going clockwise, starting in the upper left, there's Devilman, and then to the right of Devilman is Shippai wa Seiko no moto co chan, who just goes by Motoko-chan, I think, for short. And then in the lower right is Kanisan, and then in the lower left is Kazuki Uju.
Awesome. So for two of those, Kani-san and Motoko-chan, I apologize for pronunciation. Kani-san is number 5 in the world, and Motoko is number 6. So we do have, multiple top 10 runners here in this race. So this is going to be an exciting one. Yeah. What was I talking about? So the first step. Trading. No, that's totally my fault. The runners are far more important than anything I have to say. And then we have, in the bottom left, Ujiu is the current world record holder. Yes.
Yeah.
So that is the current world record holder. So we have, and I'm trying to find Devilman here. Impafa is 8. So we have 1st, 5th, 6th, and 8. 4 top 10 in the world runners. That is incredible.
Wow.
I've never commentated a race of any game, and I've certainly never commentated a race with 4 out of 10 top world record holders. That's incredible. So what we can expect to see whenever they do get started is that they will be trading cards at the trader. And so when I mentioned this being reset heavy, you see 2 key things on the board right here. First up is the trading, that little question mark, and then the next is that campfire. At the campfire, you'll be able to either upgrade your Mantis card, but there's always a risk that the card will get destroyed when you do that. Or you can use it to destroy other cards to get them out of your deck. And so what they'll be doing, what you need for a perfect setup here is going to need to be able to trade for the right cards, go to the fire, be able to use the fire to upgrade without failing it, without losing your card, or use it to get rid of the ringworms. And there's different strategies as to which one's better to do which. And then actually, if you get rid of the ringworm at the beginning, I can go into the lore of it, but if they eat the ringworm, all the people at the fire die, and they can no longer kill your cards. Oh, and we are underway. Good luck, have fun to everybody running and to everybody watching. And we are off looking for trades here. Like, I don't know how my brain is going to process this. You'll see one person already restarted. And now we're on to the campfire for the other 3. It looks like everybody is putting the mantis card in. We've got all 3 of them made it through. Okay, so when you do the double upgrade there is a risk that they eat the mantis. If they do, then that's a hard reset. So what we're seeing here is the actual gameplay. So the scale on the left side, you can see people are removing their own teeth. You can actually pull out one of your teeth and put it onto the scale. So the way that the scale moves is when you take damage, your teeth go into the scale, and when Leshy takes damage, their teeth go into the scale. And so, like I said, you want to get to 5 damage on either side. I apologize, chat, if I get any of these specific mechanics not quite right. It has been a little bit for me. But so you need to
speed at which it's going.
So we can see in the top right, they're doing a sacrifice to, you get rid of 1 card and you put the sigils and these steps, and you can see in the bottom left now, onto another card. And so that's upgrading the mantis. Now, in best case scenario, like I talked about earlier, you want the mantis to be your 0 or your 1 blood, and that way you are always drawing it. Now, to play cards that cost blood, you have to make sacrifices. So your first turn will always be to play a squirrel or something that doesn't cost blood. Then you sacrifice that card to get a blood to play the mantis. Yes, this game has horror themes. I'm sorry, these are just the mechanics. And so you can see they're all moving quickly. They're all trying to upgrade that 1 card. On the bottom right, they just put 2 sigils. All these sigils mean different things. So you can see the big deal with the mantis is it multi-strikes in multiple directions. And so you can build that damage up. You only need to get to 2 to 3 damage on the mantis to actually be able to inflict the 6 that you need to finish any given stage. Now, in terms of the reason the screen is all red and everything looks very ominous, and you can see sometimes text is popping up, like error codes and developer code and stuff, is that we have all these mods turned on. So these mods basically make everything as unfair as possible. So for example, every fight is essentially a boss fight. Something happened. Oh, there we go. I lost the stream there for a second. So basically every individual fight, the reason they're red is you have totems, those things in the back right corner. What totems do is they pick a type of card or character, so bird, insect, that type of thing, and then they have a modifier. So you can see the top is what is being modified, and the bottom is what is the modifier. And so normally these fights do not have these totems. They do not have as much going on. These would be much simpler in the base game. Now, they also get a bunch of extra units. They also, like I said, you get bonus damage. You lose a lot of your own utility, so you don't have the hook. You have a smaller backpack, so you can carry less items. You don't have the clover. Pelts cost more. I'm just reading through all the stuff that's turned on. Bosses no longer give rare cards. All fights are more difficult. You are set to a single life, so if you take too much damage, run over. Normally you have lives. All of your starting decks start with what's called annoying, meaning everything on the other side has bonus damage because they're annoying. Oh, the top left is fighting some grizzlies. That is very dangerous fight, but they made it look easy. That is the one that will kill your run if you're not fully prepared. The grizzlies, you can see again on the bottom left. There's a lot of ways to deal with grizzlies. Ideally, you have flying or something else to counteract it. But basically, you need to get through the shield of units to be able to deal damage to Leshy, the red eyes, directly. And then after every boss fight, you can pick a set of cards. So they're picking cards based on what they cost. So they can continue to draw the Mantis card, or based on what is on them, so that they can use that later as a sacrifice to upgrade the Mantis card. I am going very quickly, so chat, let me know if we have any questions. Some of the other things that we have turned on for Kaycee's mod is all grizzly bosses. So the second phases of the bosses are replaced with the 8 grizzlies, which we already saw. All of your squirrels become aqua squirrels. Yes, your squirrels go under the water. That's a different mechanic where cards hide during the turn. And then the final boss, which we will eventually see, is replaced with an entirely different boss with his own mechanics and all of that fun stuff. Yes, totems can be positive or negative. Looks like we might have had a reset on the bottom left there. I didn't quite catch what happened. No, not a reset, just something. I'm not quite sure. It's all moving quite quickly. But so far, all the runners are moving along quite well. So I know we have an hour estimate on this. A normal run, once the reset portion is over, is probably about 15 to 20 minutes, maybe more, maybe less, depending on how quickly and how carefully things are going. Obviously, we're not looking for world records during a marathon. But assuming all these runs continue, we won't be anywhere near the 1 hour estimate. But yeah, so far everybody is going well. You can see the scale on the top right just slowly ticking over. So once you hit that certain critical mass where you've gotten rid of all of your cards that would prevent you from drawing the mantis, your mantis is upgraded sufficiently that you can consistently do 6 or more damage, meaning maybe you have flying, maybe you have multi-strike, maybe you have an item, for example. We see in the top right the painter. The painter is a character that lets you duplicate a card. Now this is super strong because if you have 2 copies of the mantis card, one, if for whatever reason you don't immediately draw one, you're increasing your odds, you're doubling your odds of drawing it if you haven't gotten to that point already. But 2, there's another event called the mycologist. It's kind of a scientific thing where they will take 2 cards and they will merge them. And so if you have the 2 mantis cards, you can merge them together to create one twice as strong card. So that's often something they'll be looking for, is to make the doubles and then bring them back together. And we see that in the top left. Actually, I think we're doing a double there. Yes. So what they do is they cut the cards down the middle and then they slide the 2 end pieces together and sew them back up. There's a lot of interesting stuff in here. And top left also picking a couple of totems. And then top right, we're going into another boss fight. Now those candles are Leshy's health, Leshy's phases. So you have to kill Leshy once, 1 candle will go out. Well, technically it's not Leshy. He's putting on masks and playing different characters. So I believe this one is, can't quite see, I think maybe the boatman. But so when he takes enough damage to die once, 1 candle will go out. He'll do a phase shift, and you'll see in the top left that just happened. All the grizzlies came out, and then you kill him again, and the next candle goes out. The little bowl that came out in the top left there is where they put any of the bonus teeth. So if you, for lack of a better term, overkill Leshy, if you did 10 damage and you only need to do 6, all of the bonus damage goes in that little bowl. He gives you a bunch of teeth. Now, if you're playing the single player game, teeth is like a currency, and that's super helpful, and you can use it to buy stuff. The other thing you might see on the top right are the bones. Every time you sacrifice a character, you get bones. That's a different form of currency, not really useful. It's useful, but not really necessary for the run. You're mostly focused on the mantis and just continuing to use the mantis throughout. We have another sacrifice in the top left. And so if you haven't played this game before, there is a lot of different cards, and they're all super useful and super interesting, especially when you're playing single player. And some of the cards, like the stoat, will talk to you. They have their own little personalities, or like if you're going to sacrifice a card like a squirrel, the squirrel might start shaking and be like, don't sacrifice me, please. Like the game starts to mess with your head a little bit. So this looks like fun. If you're a card player, you like roguelikes, and you've done Slay the Spire and other stuff, this is a very interesting game. You can see in the top right, Leshy plays all the characters in Act 1. So now he put himself in a little cave where he's pretending to be this cave monster. And bottom left, he's pretending to be the village. Like, it's an incredible game. It's stuck with me for a long time. So if you like the look of this, definitely play the single player, but I won't spoil anything else. In the top right, we're picking items. We have not talked about items yet. I feel like an auctioneer right now. We have items. So the items give you a bunch of different things you can do. The clock is one of the strongest ones. It lets you skip Leshy's turn. There's an item that lets you cut up Leshy's cards. There's a skinning knife, I believe, that is the one that gives you a pelt if you stab a card. There's a pair of pliers where you can pull out your own teeth to do 1 extra damage. A few other ones, but that's the gist of it. We got the painter again on the bottom left. We have an X in the top right. I'm not quite sure why there. Thank you, Sel. I appreciate it. And then you can see actually some of the water ones in the bottom right. So we have a kraken, and you can see kind of the tentacles there. So in the bottom right, the mantis is actually not quite strong enough yet. It looks like it only has 1 attack damage. So the bottom right might actually be in a difficult spot here. I'm keeping an eye on this. Was that enough? Okay, just got there with the kraken tentacle. So ideally, you are not tentacles. Ideally, you are not relying on the tentacles there. Hopefully, you would have the mantis god at a place where you can rely on that consistently. It seems like the bottom right. Obviously, we're in a marathon setting, right? So you're not going to always have, that situation. But if you look in the top left, that mantis god, I think it was 8-6, if I saw that correctly. 8 on a mantis god. Fantastic. They're doing great in the top left. Bottom right might struggle a little bit. If that card doesn't get upgraded in the near future, they may have some trouble. So that might be why we're seeing a few quit outs. So you can actually kind of reset the board as you rotate through. Now, obviously, in a speed run, you would want to see the board be exactly what you want every single time. That's not really possible in a marathon setting. So we're doing some rerolls here, trying to, and like I said, bottom right is Kanisan is in a bit of a pickle with where the mantis god in their deck is. So they're just making sure that they get the exact board and setup that they're looking for there. Meanwhile, you saw some cards on the top right. There was, I think, a wasp and some other things. There are, I forget how many sigils. I'm trying to, let me pull up the wiki here. There are over 35-ish sigils. They all do different things. Cards can grow, they can go underground, they can come back if they die, they can be unkillable, they can have sharp quills that damage cards that attack them, they can fly in the air, they can block things that fly in the air, they can be worth more blood when they're sacrificed. There's all kinds of little things going on the pictures, on the cards, that frankly, 1, are almost too small for me to see, but 2 would be too much detail to probably go into. And so all the ones that are glowing, the sigils that are glowing on the cards are the ones that have been added on. So you have the base sigils on the bottom. I'm looking in the bottom right for this, so you can look in the top right. So the Mantis God has those base sigils, and then it has all the sigils that was added on top of it. Now, there is a limit to how much you can add on. You can't just put 50 sigils on a card and stamp it on the front and the back and do all that. There is a limit. Sigils will get replaced. So you want to be very careful about, you want to take the best thing that you can get, but you also don't want to take anything that's going to cause some problems. So for example, on the bottom right, that arrow sigil, I believe, if I'm remembering this correctly, will always move the sigil. Now it's going to the left. Will always move that card 1 space. And so you can see how they're putting it in the corners or into particular places and anticipating that, you know, that card is going to move. So they're having to think a little bit ahead because they have that 1 sigil that's moving it. That's not an ideal sigil to have. You might have preferred something else on that card, and you can replace it, which it looks like they might try to do here. Let's see. No, they're just doing a sacrifice. Okay.
As someone who's unfamiliar with the game, can you tell me who, like, basically, what are the standings right now? What are we looking at?
Oh, so I gotta see who's in what act. I believe it looks like they're all on the same boss, and actually we're towards the end here. I believe top left, that's the final boss. Actually, yeah, everyone is on, I believe, yeah, the end except for the bottom right. The Kani-san is the only one that's really struggling right now. So this is one of the modifiers. This is the different, you can hear the crowd. So 1 person on bottom left is done. So we have a winner. And now top left, not far behind, only 5 seconds difference. Devilman with the 14:35. I expect top right to be finished here very quickly as well. And then Kani-san in the bottom right might take a little bit longer. but that was for a marathon setting especially. So if I bring up the world record here is actually 12 minutes flat. So 12 minutes of the world record in a roguelike, and we're here in a marathon setting with 2 people doing 14:30. And for reference, 14:30 would still be a top 10 time. So this has been incredibly competitive, incredibly well played. And I really respect Kanisan is the one that's really having to think carefully and really having to put together something on the fly, because top right just finished as well, 15:23. This is why I said when we had the 1 hour estimate, I was like, no way we're hitting 1 hour.
Not with these runners.
No, not with these runners. So Kaisan is the one that is kind of trying to put together something on the fly. If this was a normal speedrun setup, if you were doing this at home, this would have been reset 14 and a half minutes ago or something like that. But we're sticking with it. I really respect that, because this is where you get to see the game. You can see the Mantis there, I think, is still on 1 damage. This is where you can see how the game is actually played. So you can see they're taking a little damage there, and they're just trying to do the math every turn, making sure they're doing enough damage to put the scale back the other way, such that they don't take so much damage the next turn that it would end the turn, because again, they only have 1 life. So everything here is being very carefully calculated on the fly. We're back to the tentacle. So you saw they had to sacrifice 2 squirrels to summon the tentacle there. So for reference, we haven't talked about, but they do have 2 decks. 1 deck is your deck of cards. So that's where the mantis and the tentacles and the other characters that you're playing are. And then the second deck is your sacrifice deck. So those can be squirrels. It's mostly squirrels. At least in Kaycee's mod, I think it might always be squirrels. And so the way it works is you decide what you're drawing from. Do you need more sacrificial characters, or do you need more cards that you can play once you do sacrifice? Oh, okay. There we go. That's what we were looking for a little bit. Oh, actually, no, that's a heart. Okay, that's not good. That's why the audience was upset. I thought that was damage. So every time you go to a campfire, you can either upgrade damage or health of a card, and it's random which one you get. So they were clearly hoping that would be damage, so the Mantis card would finally get off of 1 damage and actually be able to kind of do these fights. So now we're going to duplicate the Mantis, and that way if they come to the mycologist where they can double that, at least that will double the attack of the Mantis if they can merge those 2. But they are really, really struggling to find a way to upgrade that Mantis card, and that is the backbone of this entire strategy. So we are seeing here why we do have an estimate that's a little bit longer than, say, what a really good speedrun would be. And we had 3 runners execute incredibly well and have, a little bit of luck, and we have 1 runner who hasn't quite hit the same odds. And obviously when you have multiple runners, that's how roguelikes are going to go. They're going to roguelike, they're going to do RNG things. So I'm really impressed that we're sticking with this and still finding a way to make it through, because frankly I would be dead a long time ago. I would have given up. I'd be like, my Mantis god is terrible, but we're sticking with it. And so now we are in another fight here. The whale tail on the other side of the board, that card is underwater, which is ironic because it looks like the card can also fly. So that is the fish hook. The boss took one of Kanisan's cards and moved it to their side of the table. They get to be a little thief like that. And so we are trying to figure out, like, what can we do to get through this? Now, when a card is underwater like that, it can't be attacked in that way, but you can also attack over top of it. So there are pros and cons to that. And that little fish icon on the Mantis god there, now it's been moved, but Leshy will steal, I think it's the most recent card. If I remember the rules of the battle correctly, it'd be the most recently placed card. So the runner placed a card there intentionally to let Leshy take it to protect the Mantis god that they had put down earlier. And now, okay, we've got a turtle. Nothing high damage. If you notice, looking at the cards, I think they were all 1 damage. So the turtle has 6 health. It's a turtle, big shell, all of that, but not super useful in a fight like this. So we're doing a lot of math, trying to figure out what options we have because we know how much damage we'll take next turn. We know how much damage we can do. Obviously, the runners have done this quite a lot, so they can do, it's like chess. You can do multiple turns in your head and kind of know, okay, this is the damage I'll do, this is the damage they'll do, and you're kind of playing it out in your head long before you ever put a card down. Now, you may or may not know exactly what you'll draw on your next card and stuff like that, but it looks like, okay, we did make it through the first phase, but obviously we know there's a second one, and this is where it gets scary. We get into the grizzlies. So that symbol on the snake is the death card. It will instantly kill anything that it attacks. And so even though it only does 1 damage, it doesn't matter because it will finish off. It's called, I think, the touch of death or death's touch, something like that. But it'll finish off anything it attacks.
RTA プレイを押していただいて、でマンティスゴッドが強くなったら
And then, yes, so the run ended there. That was our candle being extinguished. I'm not sure if we will restart or continue or try again. It looks like they hit restart. I guess. Oh, okay. I think we're going to do another run.
I think that's why there's the hour estimate.
Okay,
They really wanted to
okay.
make sure that everyone got to complete.
So that's going to make my job a little bit easier if we do that, because I can just focus on the one screen and not the 3 world record pace runs that we had going on before. So this will be fun. Okay, anyone who hasn't seen Inscryption, we're starting from ground 1. All the stuff that I said still applies. So now we're doing our trades. We have the 2 pelts, and we're carefully picking which cards we want. So the goal is going to be the same. We're starting with the Mantis God and 2 wingworms, two parasites. Now, again, we have the fire. We're going to try to upgrade the Mantis, double upgrade. And the Mantis died, so that's going to be a reset. Right? Or, was that a Mantis or was that a ringworm? Did I miss see that? But whatever card it was, it did die. Oh, I see. They're taking an intentional death. Okay, there is a mechanic I forgot about. If you reset Tomb often in Kaycee's mod, it does have a anti-save scumming system. So when you are speedrunning this, you'll have a copy of the save file of a clean Kaycee's mod run, and you'll load that up, and it's really annoying. I'm going to be honest, because you have to reload the save every time you want to restart it. You can restart at the beginning here as much as you want. But once the run has started, if you do a reset, instead of getting 2 pelts, it will take one of them away, I think, or it will change it into something else. But it gives you a penalty, and if you do it again, it takes both pelts, I believe. And so they let themselves die there rather than do a reset. So that makes perfect sense. But we are going again, because what happened was they tried to double upgrade the Mantis, didn't get it, which is why I say this is really reset heavy, because you reset to make sure you get good cards at the trader. Apparently we didn't like the cards that we got there, so reset again. And then once you get good cards at the trader with your 2 pelts, and you can be looking for, there's a bunch of different things you can be looking for. You can be looking for only higher cost cards, so they don't mess up your deck. You could be looking for a proper sigil. I can't talk. So we took double strike there, and I didn't quite see what the other one was. And that way you can add those to the Mantis. And then once you have passed the trader, you do the campfire. And that campfire one, oh, you could hear the audience was anticipating it. So the first point of RNG is the campfire needs to be attack instead of health. Then you need to upgrade the card twice. The first one is safe. You always get the first one, I believe. And then the second one, I'm not sure if the odds are 50-50 or if there's something different there. But you need to hit all of those conditions in order to start your run. Meaning you need to get good trading, you need to find the fire with a damage upgrade, and then double upgrade to get your Mantis to 3. I think the first run, I didn't see what happened in the first run. I can watch the VOD back, but I'm guessing because Kanisan's Mantis was at 1 damage pretty much the whole time, they probably didn't win that fire, but they just kept going with it anyways. And then the run ended up not surviving because that Mantis never got upgraded. So this is very reset heavy because you hit all those 3 RNG points. You can see we're still working on it. And then once you do that, you can continue the run. So this is ultimately why after I beat Kaycee's mod, I thought about speedrunning and I was like, I can't do this many resets like all the time. So it can be a little frustrating. And there are points where this could be 30 seconds and we'll hit the exact one, or, it's a roguelike. We could be here 5 minutes trying to get the right setup. And then once you do the first act, this first kind of, let's call it a page, or this first map is difficult because you're not quite fully upgraded. So there is a risk that even if you get everything right at the beginning, I see a double attack there. Yep. Double attack. And then, okay. And now we hope for the fire. So you're always looking for that double attack or something else especially useful. But let's see. We've got it damage. Come on. Hey, we have a run. We are going. Okay. Like I said, 30 seconds or sometimes a lot longer, but we are started. So this first act is where things can be a little bit dangerous because your card is still not quite there. You can see them pulling out a tooth to do damage there. But Leshy's not that strong quite yet. But we do know the boss fight will have those grizzlies, and so that's what you're targeting is the grizzlies in the second wave of the boss fight. You need to be able to beat that and do 6 damage. Now there's a lot of ways you can do that depending on what cards and upgrades you get. But fundamentally what we're looking for is a way to get through that first phase. So we already have, well actually we haven't, I don't believe we upgraded the damage, but I don't believe the Mantis has been upgraded yet. So the Mantis is not going to be quite enough yet. Here we're going for blood cards. So this lets us choose cards based on the cost of the card. So you'll have 1 blood, 2 blood, 3 bloods. They went for 2 bloods. Here we go for an upgrade. Sacrifice a card. And now the Mantis has double strike. So now the Mantis is 3 damage with double strike. If we do the math together, 3 times 2 is 6. We can now kill Leshy, assuming the Mantis can get to Leshy. So that is the first step of oh, actually, never mind. We already had, it looked like multiple strikes there. Sorry, the icons are very small for me. But regardless of how much damage it's doing, we have enough. So that's good. Now we just need to make sure that we have a way to get through any sort of other cards that might be blocking our way to damaging Leshy. Here we're almost always you stop by items because the items can be incredibly powerful and they can get you out of trouble. So in a situation where for whatever reason the fight is not going to go your way, sometimes a couple of the items are incredibly powerful. Some of them will, like I said, let you skip Leshy's turn so you get 2 turns. That's almost always an instant win. Some of them will, I think one of them will rotate the board so you can take some of Leshy's cards, or you can cut up some of Leshy's cards. That will give you an opening. I don't think I ever talked about how attacking works in the sense of how you do damage to Leshy. There's 2 rows of cards. You can see the middle row and the back row. The back row is not really in play. Those are cards that will come up kind of later. What you're trying to do is get past this front row. So you can see that you can attack left, right, and center. And so this Mantis is attacking all 3 and then has the double strike. So they're attacking multiple directions. And so if you can clear one spot where you have a direct line or multiple spots where you have a direct line to Leshy, you can damage them. So you don't have to kill everything on Leshy's board. If he has, 4 grizzlies there or whatever, as long as you can get one clear line of attack and do enough damage through that one clear line, you'll still get the win. So we're going to the campfire again. I'm guessing we're going to put, that is damage, so we're going to do that. Yep. You know, no. Okay, I was gonna say don't go for 2. Don't get greedy. So if that was health, they probably would have, I assume, put the ringworms in. So if you sacrifice a ringworm there, so what's happening when the card gets destroyed is those little villager. This is basically Dungeons and Dragons with if you haven't figured that out. The little villager characters eat the card. So they get really hungry and they're like, ooh, that's a wolf or a squirrel or a mantis or whatever. I don't know why they want to eat a singular mantis, but they do.
Well, it's a mantis god.
I mean, that's fair. Who doesn't want to eat a mantis god? But if you put the worm in there and they eat the worm is a parasite. And so the next fire that you go to, there won't be any villagers there. And so if there aren't any villagers, they can't eat your card. So there's an interesting mix of like, you want it to be a power or attack so that your mantis is getting stronger, but you also don't mind, depending on where you are in the run, of it being health. And assuming they eat the worm. They don't have to eat the worm, I think. And there we go. We're through this boss. So we were able to clear the grizzlies, which is always that's why people are clapping, is always the tough part. And then after the boss, you get to choose your cards. And again, we're trying to do deck manipulation so that every single hand we get the mantis god. And so ideally, you can always make sure you get rid of those. I don't believe we've gotten rid of both of the worms yet, so I don't believe that the mantis god is guaranteed. I could be wrong on that. And then we looked like a goat and a couple of other things. The goat gives you more blood, I believe, if it's sacrificed. But there we go. There's a worm gone. So that bone card, basically, if you sacrifice, it will give you a bone to start with. We're not worried about bones. We don't really use them in this economy. It's not really a thing for this run, but you can see the bone card or bone token on the bottom left. That's what we got for sacrificing the worm. And that's going to let us actually draw out the tentacle there. We had a double sacrifice. Bones in this economy. That's right. No bones about it. So once again, Kanisan is leveraging the tentacle, which is actually quite strong. And that's because, like I said, we have not guaranteed drawing the mantis god yet. So if you can't guarantee that you get the mantis god, there's always that RNG element of, I don't know where we are in the deck structure. I think it's probably 50-50 right now between worm and mantis. Let's see what happens here. They're contemplating. Okay, they're going for a sacrifice. Everybody, let's hope they eat it. Oh. So the calculus there was, do I put 1 power? They're thinking about resetting. Okay, I think they're going to do it again. So I believe, if my memory serves me, once you know what it is, that is fixed. So I believe that this is now guaranteed, yes, to be a double upgrade. Yes. Okay. So what happens is, if it eats the card, I believe the game immediately saves, because the game hates you and it wants to take your cards if that's what happens. So you can do that. You can kind of save scum, reset it, and know that seed is consistent. So they decided to do the ringworm, and this is slower. So if you're doing a speed run, you don't want to do a lot of resets. But they decided to go for the worm, try to sacrifice it to 1, get rid of it, and 2, kill the farmer village people. And when that didn't happen, reset to take the power. And you can see a little bit of hesitation there about whether or not they reset, because normally you wouldn't do that. That would be a loss of 10 or 20 seconds or whatever it is. But they decided to go for it. And then here we're doing a little game. So the gist of that game is basically you're betting. So that was bones. Leshy put out a 5 bone card, so they were betting whether or not the cards that Leshy drew would be more or less than 5 bones, and then based on that you may or may not win. Doesn't really matter, I don't think, for this. And now we're back into another fight. We haven't really done much with totems. I don't believe any of the players actually picked up totems. That is another option for how to modify your cards. It may not be super useful for the speedrun, and you can see once the mantis god is upgraded, super easy. You can one-shot almost every turn. So once you guarantee that you're getting that card, you should be mostly golden until the end. Here we're doing 5 again.
おっとちょっとさっき見たよ。まあまあまあまあまあまあ。
Now you can have 3 cards that you can choose from.
コスト1のカードさえ来なければ。
Forget where I was going. But basically, once you can guarantee that all-powerful Mantis God, you're pretty much good. But getting to that point is where the struggle is. Here, we're doing one of the 2-for-1, so we just combined a card to make that card stronger. Oh, totems. That's right. None of us, I don't believe anyone has picked up any real totems. So what you need to do is you have to get 2 pieces. You have to get the top half and the bottom half by visiting these totem events on the board. Now, because we're relying on one particular card, and the totem events will give you a wide variety of different sigils and which cards they affect, it's pretty heavy RNG with low chance. And you can see right there, we're doing it. It looks like 6 a hit, so I think we just did 18 damage. So super easy to get through Leshy's first phase there, because this card is very powerful now. And then we can again just go through the Grizzlies. But because we're doing so much damage, killing the Grizzly, and it's in the left side of the thing so that it hits that left spot twice. So it kills 1 Grizzly, hits Leshy for the 6 that's needed, kills the other Grizzly because it hits 3 times. But the totems are such high RNG that it's not reliable, and most runners don't go for it. But if you're playing casually, you might be looking for an insect totem that gives you something like maybe flying or death or something that might make your Mantis just a little bit stronger. Here we're taking the Crow for flying. And now, yep, the Painter, they're almost certainly going to duplicate the Mantis. Yep. And then if they get to a mycologist, they will probably put the 2 mantises together, and then when we would have a mantis that's 6, so it'd be 12 times 3 directions. It'd be a lot of damage. I'm sorry, it's late for me. It'd be a lot. It'd be a big number. It'd be more than enough.
12 times 3.
And then if we add anything else to it, like it looks like it's got double there. Or no, that's something else. Oh, that is the Mantis. That's the painted Mantis. Anyways, we have more than enough damage as long as we are drawing those. I believe we still have 1 worm in our deck, though. So we might actually keep the 2 mantises, because that gives us a 66% chance instead of a 50-50. Those are, when I mentioned earlier, the teeth that he's keeping as currency. That is for that trader. So that trader only deals in teeth, and any over damage you do to Leshy becomes gold teeth that you can spend on different things. And you saw some of those prices. One of the modifiers for Kaycee, we're here at a fire again. We're just doing the 1 upgrade. We're just taking it safe. They didn't want to risk any resets or anything like that. But one of the modifiers for Kaycee's mod is that the trader's stuff is vastly more expensive. I see the comment. I will explain why one runner is still going in a second. But so everything is vastly more expensive in this version of Kaycee's mod, and so the teeth you worry about a little less, but they've been doing so much over damage they were able to buy a card there. So this run is extremely reset heavy, and things can die. So all the runners, they didn't do too much resetting at the beginning to get all the runs going. 3 of them, and everyone here is, I believe, top 10 in the world. 3 of them had very good runs that all were able to finish. Unfortunately, Kanisan was never able to upgrade the Mantis God card or something equivalent to get to enough damage. So they continued to play out the run, hoping they could finish it. Got right up towards the end and then died on one of the fights. But we have a 1-hour estimate so that everyone can end up finishing. Which is fun for anyone who's enjoying this, because the first 15 minutes was absolutely wild of me trying to commentate 4 games at once, and I had no idea what was happening. So for everyone who is enjoying this game and wanting to see how the run looks and works and how the run plays, this gives us an opportunity to kind of see one particular screen. We're all watching the same thing. So actually, I'm sure this doesn't feel good for Kani-san. Hopefully they're having fun, but this actually worked out kind of good as a showcase.
Well, hopefully this didn't make Kani-san too crabby.
Hopefully not. I mean, They have had a lot of tentacles so far in the run, though.
そうですよね。うん。
Here we are at the mycologists. So these are, I believe, the mushroom people. You can see mushrooms everywhere, mushroom scientists. But essentially, they do weird experiments. They cut the two cards together. So, oh, Kani means crab in Japanese. Thank you.
今いくつなの
Sorry, I don't speak any. I speak very little Japanese, like 5 words. But so what that does is it looks. I said if they came to the mycologist, they might decide to keep them to increase their odds, or they might merge them together. They now have an incredibly powerful card. I've seen cards that have been merged up to like 70, 80 damage before. I forget what number we're up here, but we are in heavy overkill territory. So anything that Leshy has at this point, that Mantis God is going to tear through, and we're going to see it here. So it looks like it's 12, and then the double strikes. Oh, so double strike is only moving forward, so we're actually hitting 4 times. That was me misremembering. I thought double was going to hit all 3 angles, but it's actually only double in front, so we're attacking 4 times. And then you can see here, the over damage actually goes to the cards behind the cards first. And so this card does so much damage, it is actually killing the bear behind it, and then going on to kill Leshy. So we just killed 6 bears and Leshy all in one turn. So like this card is unfathomably strong at this point, which is a nice change of pace. So Kanisan has had both spectrum of a Mantis God that was very weak and couldn't do anything and just trying to struggle along. Oh, they got the paintbrush. Okay. And then now they have an absolutely ridiculously powerful Mantis God. And so here I believe this is the final boss. Yes. So we're going to see the same thing that we saw on the other 3. Basically, there's going to be a really big airship. In the single player game, at one point Leshy actually pulls the moon out of or it doesn't pull it out of orbit. He uses a camera. There's a whole thing, if I remember correctly, but you fight the moon. And then the equivalent of this is an airship, I believe. Actually, no. I think that's the second phase. So here we just do so much incredible damage that, again, right through the first phase. And then, yeah, we got crab emotes in chat. Thank you. Awesome. Awesome to see. And then here we have the phase transition. I believe this is the airship. Waiting for it. There we go. Okay. I remember the run. We're here. Okay, so this is, you can see, is blocking everything. It has a bunch of sigils that basically means you can't fly over it. The paintbrush wipes all that out. So they just cleared the card, meaning that now it no longer has any of those special values, and we can just go right at Leshy. So normally you would have to fight that thing. It has 80 health. It might take a couple of extra turns and things, but because of the paintbrush, we just wipe it out, and that is GG's at 42 minutes. So it was good to see them get that kind of, I won't call it a redemption run, because this is still a very world-class runner, like I said, top 5. So they got unlucky in the first run, and then getting to see that second run, which went really well. I don't know the time on that individual segment of the run, but that was a very good run, very clean. And we didn't actually have to see too many resets. I was expecting this to be a little bit more reset heavy than it was, so all worked out great.
Absolutely amazing. Thank you so much for your insightful commentary, Queuety. Where can the people find you?
They can find me on my Twitch if I ever stream. So twitch.tv/Queuety. I also work with GDQ Hotfix, so I have a show every couple of Mondays focused on Souls-likes, roguelikes, and Metroidvanias, which is why I know this game. So after the event, if you do ever want to come check that out, feel free to stop by 7 to 10 p.m. Eastern. But for now, we are focused incredibly on RTA and all the amazing stuff that's happening here. So be like me. I was up until 6 a.m. last night watching this stream, which is why I'm sleep deprived and overly caffeinated. So keep watching the stream. Keep donating to an amazing cause. This is incredible, and I'm so thankful that I got to commentate an amazing game with amazing runners. Like, you don't get to do this every day. So just, yeah, very thankful to be here.
Thank you so much again, Queuety, and congratulations to the race winner, Kazuki Uju. Second place went to Devilman. third place went to失敗は成功のもと子ちゃん, or Moto chan for short. And then, of course, Kanisan clutching it out at the very end there, getting it done, even though it was a bit of a grind. Congratulations to all 4 runners for this great showcase.
Absolutely. And if sorry, one last thing is that if you look at the icons on the bottom, those are all the challenges that they had to beat. So I think there is 13, maybe, I forget how many, but each of those icons is the challenges that they had to go up against. So there was a lot of going against the runners there. But that helps put it in perspective, a visualization of just how many obstacles they overcame.
Queuety, thank you so much again. Absolutely incredible run of Inscryption, great race. That does it for Inscryption, and that does it for my time on the host mic. And I definitely appreciate getting the chance to be here, like Queuety said. But I'm handing it off to the incredible Sporadic Erratic, who will take it into her very capable hands for the next few runs. Oh.
Here with the Japanese speedrunners team of Kaycee.
Thank you so much, Hockey Babbler.
Sorry, I wanted to let this speedrunner speak.
Yeah, you go ahead.
This game, a lot of staffs, Kevin Saxby, the actor of Luke as well, and various inscriptions community, including Speedrun ARG, which discovered Gateway hand mechanics. We've been playing this game for a long time and having fun. In addition, we appreciate English Speedrun Restream for supporting. Thank you so much. That's all.
Thank you so much for the shout out. Wow, that was huge. But yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, sorry, I heard the English and I was like, wait a minute, hold on, we should let them speak. Anyhow,
that does remind me of one other thing I forgot to mention. I'm so sorry to jump in. DEVILMAN did write up a general document of some of the stuff that went into the run to help me commentate. I definitely should have given them a shout out for doing that. It is in English, so that I'm incredibly thankful that they took that extra step to make sure that the English restream, to make sure that myself was able to commentate this and make sure that I had an easy resource to relay back to and to look at. So again, I do want to thank DEVILMAN and anyone else who contributed that, any of the other runners for building that out. They do take the English restream and they do take the community very seriously. And I apologize for not mentioning that earlier.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much again. And Sporadic Erratic, absolutely take it away, my friend. Thank you so much for being here. And yeah, have a wonderful rest of the night, everyone. Don't go anywhere.